Canterbury Employers Chamber of Commerce CEO Leeann Watson. Hello to you.
Hi, Chris.
Nice to see you. So, reaction to the news that finally Christchurch gets a stadium. You must be delighted, I'm guessing?
Oh, absolutely. This is an outcome that we've all been awaiting for a long time, and it's been a long time coming. So we're really delighted that common sense has prevailed and the majority of the councillors have made the right decision in supporting the go-ahead with the stadium. So really excited.
So where to from here? I'm trying to work out then when this thing will be blimmin' built. I did notice when I was driving past Madras Street yesterday, there was a bit of earthworks going on. So I thought, well, thank goodness there's some action. So what do we know? What do you know?
Not a lot more than you probably, Chris. And I think, obviously over the last few weeks, everything's sort of been put on hold while this decision has been made, which has been a little frustrating to say the least. However, now that we've got the decision, I guess the next stage is to make sure that they get on with it as quickly as possible. So look, we'll be awaiting more information as to what this all means and what the sort of the revised timeframe looks like. I mean, we do know that this has caused a further delay, but we're really keen to get some more information on that as soon as possible.
In your submission, you were quite clear about the benefits this would have for an international city as such, like Christchurch. Just point to me about what you meant by that, about what this is going to mean for Christchurch now in terms of trying to compete for concerts and sports events in the city.
Yeah, look, this is really important. Christchurch is the second largest city in New Zealand, and sometimes we and others outside of Christchurch forget that. So this facility, we've always had a stadium of this sort of magnitude, obviously without the roof, which will be a huge added bonus. So this is all about making sure that the social and economic benefits of having these sorts of facilities in the centre of Christchurch will actually be provided for both the business community and for the residents of Christchurch. And what I mean by that is we know that when we have an international, either a sporting fixture or an international concert, it draws people into the city from outside of the region, as well as obviously ensuring that our own residents don't head south or north to see an All Blacks game or a Pink concert. And those economic benefits are significant. They get compounded right across the business community in terms of our bars, our restaurants, our retailers, our transport companies, our hotel and motel providers. These are the sorts of economic benefits that we've been missing out on for the last decade. And then the social benefits are things like making sure that we get to retain our young people, that we actually provide jobs through these sorts of facilities. The people that supply those facilities also get to employ more people. So that the social interaction and the well-being of people to get out and actually enjoy these sorts of things on their own backyard is really, really important.
I want to point to something that Councillor Sarah Templeton said, and I want to get your response to that. She said this is a clear case of privatising the profits while socialising the cost. What's your response to that?
Yeah, I did see Sarah's comment, and I think it's really important. One of the things we also pointed out in our submission is that we have a bunch of facilities that the Christchurch City Council currently funds and provides, such as libraries, swimming pools, public transport. None of those things make a profit, but yet they're essential for the city of Christchurch, as is the stadium. So this is not about saying that this has to make a profit and that goes all back to the business community. This is about providing those social and economic benefits, just like some of those other facilities actually do provide. It's also about making sure that we use this facility to help reposition the city of Christchurch. At the moment, outside of Christchurch, there are still many people that think about Christchurch as either the city that's had an earthquake, the city that's had a really unfortunate, horrific mosque attack, or the Garden City. Now we're a new city full of opportunities, and all you have to do is look at the sorts of broadcasting rights that the Cricket Women's World Cup received at Hagley Oval earlier in the year. 180 million viewers with their eyes on Christchurch. That's a huge opportunity for us to provide through this sort of facility. So, those are the sorts of things that are really hard to quantify, but they're absolutely essential to help to reposition and make Christchurch relevant again.
Relevant. That will be good. Now, let's turn our attention to all those millions of viewers and hopefully that they can come to Christchurch to help with the economy. What are we doing to try and attract workers to Christchurch? Because I know there is a massive skill shortage at the moment, but it's still really tough to actually come to New Zealand at the moment. Every sector I talk to, they are crying out for workers, but they can't get the workers they need. What do you say?
Yeah. I totally agree, Chris. It's the number one issue that we hear from our members and our business community each and every day. And it's incredibly frustrating that we're in a position where we desperately need to reboot our economy, and we are being hamstrung by the fact that we simply cannot get enough staff. It's not unique to New Zealand. I've just spent a week or so in Australia, and they have exactly the same issues, and it's playing out in exactly the same way, from not having restaurants open in the middle of Sydney on a Sunday or a Monday night, right through to not getting your hotel room service because they simply don't have enough staff. So incredibly frustrating. There's been quite a lot of discussion actually between Australia and New Zealand as to how we might be able to work together to try and unlock some of these solutions. The number one issue is really around this immigration reset. We need to recognise that we are no longer just competing with Australia, we are competing in the global labour market for labour. And frankly, the queues for New Zealand are drying up. There are other countries around the world where their value proposition and getting them into those markets is way more attractive than what it is here in New Zealand now. And so we've got some serious work to do around repositioning again New Zealand as a market to bring skilled and unskilled workers into New Zealand. But first of all, let's start with the skilled, because actually that's where a lot of the demand is. And things like, I heard this morning that on the skill shortages list, we've got, multimedia tech specialists, really important part of Christchurch actually, which is great to have them on that list. But what we don't have on that list, for example, is nurses, and the health system is dying right now with all of the challenges around, the rampant flu and obviously COVID. And yet we haven't got nurses on that specialist list. It just doesn't make any sense. So, the government have to review this. We need to continue to build our own skills and bases here in New Zealand. But for some of those sectors, that's going to take some time. So that pipeline will take some time to come through. And in the meantime, we need some solutions around, new migrant and immigration settings. We need to make sure that when we get people here, we also create pathways to residency so that that's an attractive proposition to actually attract the right people here in the first place. So there needs to be more work done on the government on this. It's an outcry that every industry across New Zealand is facing this issue.
It certainly is. I mean, I was speaking to a local cafe owner in the central city the other day, and she was telling me she has advertised to get a front of house officer, if you like, or receptionist or somebody on the front, desk, and nobody even bothered to apply. And you could see that, I suppose, is a good thing that, the unemployment rate in this city is probably quite low. But the other thing is, well, where are the people to take those jobs? They're not around, are they?
Yeah. No, and I think, there is this sort of perception that all you have to do is offer to pay people more and you'll get them. There is no more people to employ. And I think that's we just have to realise that this is a huge challenge. I mean, we did a survey of our members in the last week, and 75% of businesses found that acquiring staff way more difficult than what it was 12 months ago. So the problem is getting worse. And as I said, we've got, we hear from particularly manufacturers who, have got good, forward orders, they've got, a lot of work on, but they can't get workers. So they're actually having to reduce their outputs because they can't get workers, or they're having to take people, out of the office environment and put them on the factory floor for a couple of weeks. Now that's obviously also been exacerbated by the fact that we've got a lot of people away from workplaces at the moment, either, through illness or COVID, which is very valid. But of course, we've also got this, this household contact issue at the moment, where we've got, healthy people staying at home who are asymptomatic, but got no symptoms, but they're not able to actually come in and work. So, that is certainly exacerbating the issue.
And before we go, if people are watching this right now and considering joining the Canterbury Employers Chamber of Commerce, what can they do? Because I've just joined, and I'm really enjoying the support and services that you have. So I'll give you a free plug, Leeann. What do we do?
Thanks, Chris. Look, the best thing to do is to give us a call. 366 5096 is our number, or 0800 50 50 96. And we can have a chat to you about what your needs are and what sort of services that we can provide. But basically, the role that we play is to support businesses to build their capability, to work through some of the fundamentals of business. If you've got any staffing issues, or you want to grow your business and you want to understand how to do that from a marketing perspective. You've got some issues around health and safety. You want to make sure you're actually meeting your obligations and employment legislation, those sorts of things. There's so much that we can provide. So, give us a call. We can understand what your needs are, and then we can wrap a solution around you. So,
indeed you can.
We'd love to have you.
Nice to see you again, Leeann. Have a great weekend.
Great. Thanks, Chris. Nice to talk to you soon.